This is the area of the sources from which the River Po is born. We are in Pian del Re, in Piedmont, at more than 2,000 meters above sea level. It's November. It's hot. The freezing point is at 3,500 meters. An African anticyclone is crossing the Italian peninsula. This does nothing but accentuate the water deficit of our country. A border signals the point conventionally adopted as the birthplace of the river. Mount Viso behind it hosts the raised glaciers, now in the process of retreat. The peat bog welcomes the waters that will become the largest Italian river. "652 kilometers long and with a huge and wonderful basin. The River Po is linked to the history of northern Italy. The Romans call it Padus, the Greeks Eridano, and in the west, not very far from the source, the Ligurians call it Bodincus. Pliny the Elder, in his work Naturalis Historia, wrote that it was practicable from Turin to the sea. Transport of goods and people, the Po crosses 4 regions: Piedmont, Lombardy, Emilia-Romagna, and Veneto. A symbiotic relationship between the river and humanity which, in increasingly frequent dry periods, brings to light centuries of history. A symbiotic relationship abruptly interrupted in recent decades, when the river, from a vital source, turned into a landfill. According to the Global Drought Observatory of the Joint Research Center of the European Commission, events of extreme drought and heat waves are increasingly frequent in northern Italy. The scarce rainfall has forced the central northern regions of Italy to declare a state of emergency due to a water alarm in the reservoir of the River Po. Italy is experiencing the worst drought in the last 70 years. As a result, the Po and its tributaries are recording considerable drops in average flow, to the point that in certain areas of extreme dryness, it is possible to walk on the riverbed. Considering 60% less rainfall than normal and 2 degrees more average temperature, the summer of 2022 saw crops compromised by burning about 10% of the value of national agricultural production. According to the UN climate report, published in the first months of 2022, 48% of animal species are at risk of extinction, and statistics show that we will experience droughts with increasing frequency, which, added to the unsustainable use of the water available to us, they will endanger the lives of animals of mountain territories, amphibians, and reptiles. Furthermore, since Italy is a country at risk of desertification for over 20% of its territory, in recent years a deterioration in the quality of the pastures where wild herbivores feed has been revealed. The awareness that we have little time to remedy an alarming situation should lead us to deal with climate change issues effectively. Avoiding promises and promoting concrete actions to avoid the collapse of the planet we are lucky enough to live on. The policies of post-war Italy, concentrated on industrial and economic development, have failed miserably, with the creation of highly polluting industries that have allowed relative well-being to last for a few decades. Present and future generations are left with only the skeletons of architecture built, without the slightest consideration of the surrounding nature. Despite awareness, governments are not doing enough to counter the constant increase in temperatures, promote the transition to renewable energies, raise people's awareness. The various streams of the Po are lost in the sea, while this floating from above, that has only marginally close to the human presence, comes to an end, accompanied by deliberately didactic phrases that simply want to be an invitation to reflect. We realize the lack of water only when we are thirsty.